All right, welcome everybody. I'm absolutely so excited for tonight's special guest. I know that if you have been in the business for any amount of time, you're super familiar with Amber and Josh Parker. They lead the Road to VIP page and are just so active in all aspects of leadership in our company. And I know I personally am just so grateful for their influence and for just everything they selflessly do for all of us while also building their own businesses. And they're just huge inspirations. But if you're new on here and you have not yet had the chance to get to know them, I'm super excited for you to hear their story. Before we really get going, Amber and Josh, if you guys are able to unmute yourself, do you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you guys? Let me know if you need me to unmute you. Let me find you. Hold on one sec, you guys. Technical difficulties. Sorry, guys. She's having connection issues. Just give us 1 second. Okay, she's good now. Amber, I don't know since your internet was connecting if you heard everything I just said, but I was basically just sharing with everyone just how much we love you guys. And I'm so excited for everyone on here who is newer and hasn't had a chance to get to know you guys yet to hear you guys' story. So if you want to jump right in and you guys introduce yourself and tell everyone about you guys, and then we can get started.
Yeah, totally. So, hey guys, sorry, life's a little crazy sometimes when you're on the road. Like, we've got all these other backup internets, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not good. So, here we are. So, if it does break up, I will be back. I promise. We've got backups, we've got third parties, we've got it all. But hello, how are you guys? So, we are Josh and Amber Parker. If you guys don't know us, we've been doing the business now for 8 years. And we started this business while Josh was working corporate for a network marketing company. And I swore up and down the answer was absolute no, because I saw how the marketing industry was ran. And I was like, no, thank you. But then I found this company, and this company was different. This company cared. This company was family owned. It was debt free. And there's not anything else like it. And so I fell in love with this company in August. And what's crazy, you guys, is in November, mid-month. So here we are. We're in November right now. I went diamond on the 15th. I learned how to manage my business in 15 days and really push through and stop depending on the last final hour. And so, this business is going to have the highs and it's going to have the lows, but ultimately it's still a decision that you have to make. And so, we went, like I said, just diamond, just a few short months after we started. And within 8 months, I replaced my income as a salon owner, but also Josh's as a full-time salary income. And we just dove both feet in, both of us. And really he was more the brains behind it. I was the, okay, what does that mean? And he would tell me where to put my customers and how to maximize the comp plan. And I was just really thankful that I obviously had him, but you guys can all have access to him too. So don't feel like you need to know everything, because I still don't know everything. But that's what we're here for. And so we've been a full-time family ever since. We have 2 kids. Avea and Cannon, and they are 13 and 9, and we get to travel the country. And right now we're in Florida, and I'm so excited. My soul needed this sun more than anything. And I think that God placed this vision on our hearts to travel during, well, everything is obviously shut down, or most things are. But I'm one to go against the grain. So I said, why not? I don't think there's a better time than now. And it's been a huge blessing for us too. So that's a little bit about us.
I love that so much. I love that you guys were like, you know what? It doesn't matter that everything around us is so crazy. We're going to pack up and go because we can. And I just think that that's just one of the most beautiful things about this business is that we absolutely can take it anywhere. So I just would love for you guys to just really just share how you guys have worked this business together. I know like throughout the business, it's probably looked different at different stages. But if you guys just want to just tell us like what your vision was when you got started. I know Josh already was super familiar with the industry. And Amber, you were just like on fire, just ready to do whatever. But like he had that, like you said, had the brains behind it. Like how did you guys learn to lean on each other and maximize each other's strengths and really be a team from the get-go in this business? And how has that evolved over the years for you guys?
You want to?
Sure. When we got started, we didn't have any advantage. We started just like everyone. We didn't know much about, I worked in the industry, but as far as like marketing, doing the actual marketing side, we had no experience at all. And so we really just fell in love with two things. We fell in love with the products and the results that come from them. And we fell in love with helping people. And really that's where it all stemmed from. Amber, as a salon owner, she loved that feeling and that process of women coming into the salon, needing their hair done, not maybe feeling as beautiful as they normally do. And then her doing their hair and then them leaving, feeling a different way, feeling that transformation, feeling more confident, feeling better about themselves and their appearance. And so, she duplicated that with the wrap.
Yeah.
She fell in love with the wrap. She had great results with it. And she loved going through that process with other people. And then she just got super excited about it and shared it with as many people as possible. And it just duplicated over and over and over again. And, I think that's really a really big key to success for anybody that's on right now is like, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to know all the details of everything. You don't need to know all the comp plan. You don't need to know every single product. You need to fall in love with some part of what we do and get super excited about that and share that with as many people, because there's other people that are excited about that too. If you love the coffee, if you love the business, if you love the greens,
Community.
Yeah, if you love the community, whatever it is, you can get super excited about that. You can share that with your personality, with your market, and that's where you start. And then what's really cool, what we found out, because this is our first network marketing company, our first and only,
for sure.
Then you find out other things. We didn't come into this with the expectation of making the type of money that we make now. We wanted to make a few $100,
$200, yeah,
$300, $400, $500, so that we actually had money for date nights, so that we could actually get a little bit ahead instead of just barely making it paycheck to paycheck, But then all of these layers of benefits start to come in as you get going. You fall in love with that product, you share it, and you start having success. Oh, then you start seeing your team having success, and you fall in love with that part of the business. You try a couple other products, you fall in love with those products also. You start making money and you get out of debt. Oh, that's really cool. You start making a lot of friends. Oh, that's really cool. And so, we got started that way and started figuring out all these different things that we really loved about the company, about Mark and Cindy, about the compensation plan. But all of those things built layer on layer after we got started, after we jumped in. After Amber was so passionate about the product and so passionate about helping other people. And then as far as the compensation plan goes, we kind of learned it together as we went and helped Amber understand them, and she helped me, and we just worked as a team.
And that was kind of what was awesome, is that we have this thing in our marriage that's called our 10 acres. And so if this is my 10 acres, Josh doesn't touch it.
Can you still hear us?
Oh no, here we go. The internet. Can you guys hear us?
Reconnected too.
I can hear you now. It broke up for a little bit. I heard you say 10 acres. If it's your 10 acres, Josh doesn't touch it.
So, he doesn't touch it. And then if I ask him to do something, then I don't get to touch it. That's in his 10 acres. And so we try to not overlap and both do the business together, because we'll do it differently. It's the same with our downline. Brittany might build her business one way and Catherine might build it a different way. And it's either working or not working. And so we really tried to balance each other out. It wasn't like he was the only one cooking meals. I started learning to cook. That wasn't a thing that I did before. But we really try and do everything piece by piece, just like in a marriage. I don't feel like it's one way or the other. I feel like it really can benefit more if everyone is learning. Like, I take out the trash sometimes, I do the dishes, he does the dishes. Like, we share the responsibilities together, and same thing in this business. But there's also different qualities that I have. There's something I'm working on is reacting. Josh is very good at responding. He can handle the crazy people. I'm like, you're too crazy for me. So we really balance each other out, and just finding out what we like. Like, Josh does not like to message. I do. Okay. Josh loves to find solutions to problems. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a problem. Let's move on. So there's this balance of dynamics of how to build this business, and not necessarily that you always have a spouse building the business with you. Josh doesn't sign up customers and distributors. There's some guys that do. He does occasionally, but that's not his main focus. His main focus is making sure that I'm really good and taken care of in my 10 acres, and vice versa. He's got Zooms. He's also corporate. So there's things that he does now where I'm like, okay, let me take some of that off of your plate. And so we really try and balance each other out. We are not perfect at all by any means. We do the best that we can. We're constantly learning. We give grace all the time, because nobody is perfect, and not every husband should be in this business with you. And not every husband should be retired. And that is not a problem. It is just what is. And I think that finding the dynamic to build it together is just celebrating the successes. And sometimes, if I have a bad month, I don't need him to criticize me. I just need you to listen, and making sure that you're open in that communication like that. And then there's often times when I'm like, hey, you haven't told me good job. I completed my steps of success by the 10th. And he's like, oh, good job, babe. But it's like, we have to be able to tell our significant other, or even our team, or our downline, or even our upline. It doesn't matter if it's a spouse or friend or your kids. How many single moms are there out there? Then tell your kids, this is what I need from you. And same thing with my kids. So it's not really, the communication is the key to build a successful business together.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I'll add to that is just figuring out what works for you.
Mhm.
Society puts their picture of what relationships should look like and what business owners should look like. And, your family projects what they think you should be doing, and your upline projects what they think you should be doing. We have all of these outside forces that try to dictate and tell us how we should live our lives, how our marriage should look, how our parenting should look, how being a business owner should look. But really, a lot of us joined this business so that we could kind of blaze our own trail. And so we could have anonymity and make our own decisions and build the life that we want to build on the way that we want to build it. And so I would encourage you guys to try and throw some of that stuff. If you feel like what you're doing isn't working, try to take a step back and figure out what does work in your relationship, not what XYZ person did. Of course, we can look at other people and see good examples and take little parts from them and try that out for us.
Right.
But really, build it and work it so that it works for you and your relationship and your business.
Don't expect your husband to do what you do. He never will. And I will never do what he does. And I think that's a big reason where what creates the tension in the home, period, whether the husband is in the business or not, or your spouse is in the business or not. Love that.
I love that. So good. And I think that's one of the things that, like, people who are around you guys immediately pick up on, is that you guys do complement each other so well. And you guys are both very supportive of the other one's strengths. And I think that's just so huge. And like you said, it is unique. It's not seen a lot, because so many people do expect things that are just naturally not the other person's, talents. So, okay. So you said something, Amber, about how Josh is very solution minded. And this was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you guys. So you said how this is your first company, your only company, your last company. You guys have obviously throughout 8 years seen, some of the best days of the business. You've seen some of the worst days. You've seen, all kinds of things, but you guys have remained so consistent, so constant, such a rock, and such, for everyone around you, and are so solution minded no matter what's happening. And so what are just some pieces of advice that you guys would give of just things you've learned over 8 years, like just things that you feel like, and not in like, I know you guys are so humble, so I know this isn't like in an arrogant way, but like things that you feel like, we've done this really well when other people have been freaking out, or when people can't see the big picture, like we stay focused on it. Like, what are just some things you want to share about that?
One of the first things that I think we did really, really well, and it's because I listened. I listened to Mark when he said, do not change your lifestyle too soon. So many people go into this business and they make their first 10 grand and then they go increase their bills to 10 grand a month because they think that's what they can afford. Okay. And that's what society says. You can afford a $400 car payment, so go buy a $400 car payment. Okay. And, or, oh, you're approved for a $600,000 house. Doesn't mean you can afford it. Doesn't mean that you want to be able to afford it, guys. Like, so one thing that we've always done is we've lived on a very, I wouldn't say very strict budget, but a very reasonable budget. And, one of the things that even though you can make a lot of money, there's a lot of people to bless, and it's not always about you. And so, Josh does a really good job because I am the spender, I'm the gas, he is the brake, and it's a very good balance. But there's a lot of times when he's like, hey, babe, that Amazon card. Yeah. All those gifts that you sent, kick on the brakes. I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks,
I didn't
babe.
even have to tell you about it.
I know.
You felt the brakes yourself this time. That's good.
But you
that
guys,
talk was coming.
But he knew it, right? And so, but again, you guys, it's okay. If I want to give like more gifts to my team, I'm going to pull back on what I want to give to myself. And so it's not adding more, it's just finding that balance. And so not spending out of your means. Don't live on bonuses. Again, if you earn a good bonus or you've had a bonus, or maybe you're on a cab run, you do not get to count that income. Put that in savings. Don't go out and again, change that lifestyle too soon. It's very important, because that's where this frustration comes, is when you have even 4 or 5 really good months, and then all of a sudden your bills are, maxed out, and you're like, oh yeah, but I still have $1,000 in the bank account, but my bills are 6,000. Okay, well, when it will fall, because it will, everything has rises and falls. Anything good will shrink and expand, right? It's like we have these dreams and then we go back down, and there's a reason why we're in the valley, is to grow. And so you have to expect the ebb and flow, expect the ups and downs. And when you don't prepare for them, that's when the frustration comes in, and frustration builds fear, fear paralyzes you. So I've done a really good job at just learning what's actually important and what's not important throughout this, and how much money I actually want to spend, and what's important and where to spend it. And then I would say the other really good thing that I've done consistently is grow, and we grow together. We try so hard to read similar books just so we can have conversation. If you're going out on a date with your spouse and you're only talking about business or kids, that's a problem. Okay. And I understand somebody asked, do you have a training on relationships? No, because we're not perfect, but we will definitely be open and honest with where our downfalls are, and how many times that we get back up and we apologize, and how many times, that we're like, hey, this doesn't work, we need to make it work. But when we, what was I talking about?
Reading the same book.
That's not growing together.
Oh, growing together. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. See? Good thing you guys. But we try and read the same books, because what happens a lot of times too is you get into this business and you outgrow your spouse. You outgrow your circle of influence. And we try and look back and we're like, hey, are you coming with me? And then you're terrified to grow bigger. And you got to be honest and say, hey, I'm ready to grow, and you're either going to grow or you're going to go. And that's the hard, and again, you guys, not just your spouse, and not saying that divorce, of course not, but there comes a point when you have to show up first for yourself and inspire them to come with you. Even this morning I noticed, and Josh doesn't know I'm saying this, but I'm going to say it. Is that, we haven't been able to work out a ton, and not by haven't able to, we've chosen not to while we've been traveling due to gyms or whatever our excuses are. And this morning I got up, I wasn't waiting to give me permission to go to the gym. I wasn't waiting for him to open up the door and say, hey babe, here's your shoes, you better go running, right? Because that wouldn't happen. But I decided for me, I was going to go to the gym. And I don't know this, so Josh can totally say that it's not happening and he made it on his own. But because I went for me, he went to the gym for him. And I wasn't like, are you going to go to the gym? Babe, I think you should work out, right? So a lot of times we need to inspire by doing versus saying, because nobody's inspired by somebody telling them their flaws. Nobody's inspired and wants to go do the things that they know they should do, but they're inspired by that action. And so a lot of times we're like, we want our husbands to do this, but yet we're not doing it. You want him to take out the trash, sis, you take out the trash. Okay. You want him to show up as give you more compliments, start complimenting him. Right. So I think we've done that very well, as instead of telling each other what we can work on. And again, if we do, Josh did this the other day. He said, he says, if you're open to something, I have something I want to tell you. And he said, I think that right now more people need you to be loving and kind than red. And if you guys know me, I'm hardly red. I'm very kind, but I could tell that I was getting frustrated. And he said, and I was like, I'm open to that. Thank you. Instead of being like, you're so rude. And yeah, there was time I was like, no, you're not. And like, you don't see all the things that I do, but I can be open to that. Okay. So that's another thing that I think we do really well. Anything else?
Yeah, I think
we're not perfect, guys.
I think you started to answer your own question, Brittany, when you were asking it. And that's just in having playing the long game, or having a long-term mindset when it comes to this business. Because just like Amber said, and just like all of us know, there's ups and downs. There's issues that come up that are unforeseen. You have slowdowns, you have speed ups, you have people quit, you have people this thing and that and the other thing. We have all of these things that come up. And I think it was probably, I don't know, 2013 or 2014, maybe a year in the business, that we just knew we were home.
Yeah.
We knew It Works was home. We knew that it fit. It wasn't just something that we do. We knew it was part of who we are. The whole philosophy of the company, Mark and Cindy, what they're trying to accomplish, all the gives back stuff, helping families get out of debt, helping families provide for them, for their families, helping people get healthy, helping people get out of debt, like just the whole thing. We knew that it was part of who we are and what we wanted to do in this life. And so, since then, we've been through it all. We've been through everything that you can think of. And we just knew that when these things come up, when these hard things come into our lives, when you have a long-term mindset, when you've already decided that this is what you're going to be doing, it eliminates the possibility of you saying, oh, this thing is really hard. Yeah. I'm going to run away. I made a post, I did a live on the Road to VIP page about this. I don't know, it was probably maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. But the title of it is, are you going to be a runner or a weightlifter? And kind of the whole point was that anything that's worthwhile is uphill. John Maxwell said that. Marriage takes work. Building this business takes work. It's hard sometimes. Being a leader is hard sometimes. Being a mom is hard sometimes. Being a dad is hard sometimes. Being a good friend is hard sometimes. Being successful on a continuous basis is hard. There's a weight that comes with it. And so we can put in the work each and every day and learn and grow. Like Amber was saying, we try to learn and grow together. And when we make those decisions to do that work, to lift the weights day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out, then when this heavy stuff comes on us, when we have a hard leader day, when we have somebody in our downline that comes to us and says, you're not a very good leader. I don't like the way you lead. I don't think it's right. I think you're selfish or whatever. When we have those hard days, instead of feeling that weight and running away, we're ready. We're prepared. We've been putting in the work so that we can take that weight on our shoulders, push past whatever it is, and then continue on with these things, these goals that we have. Building this business creates so many blessings in our lives. In every single area of our lives, there's blessings from this business. In our personal development, in our relationship with God, in a relationship with our spouse, with our kids, with making a difference in this world, with changing people's lives. And I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. And so we need to be prepared for some of those hard things, because they're going to come, and just have that long-term mindset and put in the work in each and every day so that we can lift those heavy weights instead of running from them.
I love that so much. That's so good. And I think it really is so true. Like the moment that we stop growing and we stop working on ourselves, like that's going to inevitably be the season when things start coming at us and you're not going to feel equipped. And I just love you guys's, just advice of always be growing and always be growing together, because then you're going to feel equipped. You're going to feel capable to handle anything. What is one piece of advice that you would give, like anyone listening, things, that you learned along the way that if you could go back, you would do differently? If there's anything you would avoid, anything you wish you would have known 8 years ago that you would tell everyone now?
100%, hands down, you guys. I wish when I started that somebody would have just told me, Amber, if you stay consistent, it'll move faster, and take quitting off the table. Like, and it was quick. That was only a very short-lived option. But you guys, there's a part of you that doesn't have your roots planted. There's a part of you that's still looking for that chicken exit out, for that hard day to come, for the bill to not be paid, so you can be right about being wrong. Right. And so I wish so bad someone would have just said, Amber, you can do it. Amber, if you just stay consistent, the compound effect, it will come in, it will happen, and move, stay consistent. Because I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn by going consistent, running, crashing. And then being like, now what? Get back on the horse, right? Like get back up. And then I had to repeat and go back through the same race that I already ran again. And then I'd fall. And so if you just do little by little, compound effect really is a thing, you guys, and consistency is key. Just be consistent. Done is better than perfect. And you don't have to be perfect. And I wish somebody would have said too, that you have to be willing to learn, because this business will evolve. What we do today, we may not do in 6 months. How our business was when we started is nowhere near what the things that we do today. And if I was closed-minded, I'd be out. And that's where people fall, is when they're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, we're only doing a pick 3 this month? Yeah. And you're mad about it. You got to learn to trust. You got to learn to say, you know what, this is good news. But so many of us aren't equipped for change, because change in our life normally means I'm exhausted or I'm going to lose something. It's a negative, relationship. And so be willing to learn, be willing to grow, and be willing to accept that there's a reason why things change. And the faster they change, the better they'll get.
I love that so much, because it really is true. Like our perspective determines everything. And so if you've already decided something that's happening is a negative, you're not even going to be able to see the positive. And like 10 people around you could be thriving and thinking it's the most amazing thing ever, but you've already like counted yourself out and, found something wrong with it. So that's just such good advice. Like you control your perception. Okay. My last question for you guys is, you mentioned that you went diamond on the 15th of November, which the 15th of any month is huge, but November coming up on the holidays, and then not to mention like going into conference season and just the big boom that always comes, in these coming months, what is one piece of advice or one final piece of advice that you would leave everybody with, just to maximize their business right now?
Is ask, get in the inbox. We've got to do less scrolling. And it's interesting because I've been on a few other Zooms tonight and I'm like, I can see you scrolling. Stop. You're wasting so much time. Like I literally would just want to smack your phone out of your hand and be like, it is not effective to scroll.
It's just an addiction.
It literally is an avoidance. It makes me cringe, you guys. It makes me cringe.
And we do it.
We're all guilty.
I'm going to say right now, we do it.
We do it, right? But I have to be like, oh, Amber, stop. Like, this is not effective at all. And so get into the inbox, start asking people. It's greedy if you think that people are going to come to you. Okay. Like you've got to start asking. And it's not that it's greedy, but some people can, but most of us, we need to be asking. You need to stop saying that I'm bugging people and start saying I'm ready to bless people. And that's our job, you guys. In this season right now, more Americans are going to put Christmas on a credit card that they don't even have. They haven't even applied for it yet. They haven't even applied for it yet because they're going to put it on a credit card. And that's where you can be a blessing and say, I want to help you pay cash for Christmas. Oh, I don't celebrate Christmas, sister. Fine. I want to help you pay cash for your mortgage in December when everyone else is crumbling. Okay. Like, I don't care what the reason is. You've got to stop bugging people and start blessing them. Period. It is your job, your duty, and your obligation to ask. It is not our responsibility to take a legacy, to take freedom, to take money, to take finances, diapers, food, whatever you want to name it, away from somebody. It's not your choice to decide if they're going to be good or not. It's your choice to offer. Start asking. That's it. You've got to start asking more people.
So one thing I was going to add to the scrolling thing. So I butt in there and said, we scroll, which is true.
We do.
because all of us do. And I don't think it's a bad thing if, you ready for this? If all your other stuff's done.
Yeah.
Like if you do your KPIs, if you've gone through, you've sent your messages, you've interacted, you've learned about a product, you know, if you've done all of your work and you've done your mom duties and you've done your spouse duties and you want to relax for a little bit, then go spend 30 minutes on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not
Guilty.
mad at you. Go check in with your friends on Facebook and see what they're up to, or check out your favorite
Pinterest or whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. All of that stuff, like that is a fun part of life. And we all need to unwind and we need to have some time that we relax and we're not like running 100 miles per hour. But do your work first.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem that we find with this is that you can literally, every open minute that you have throughout the day, you can, like, you know, get your kids breakfast, get them off to school, or get them on their laptops or whatever. And then you have some free time and you can sit and scroll for 30 minutes, right? And then the kids need a snack, so you go make them a snack, and then you go put a load of laundry, and then you go scroll for another 30 minutes, go change the laundry, blah, 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 right? So let's say that's like 3 hours that you have free in between the different activities that you have throughout the day. You can literally feel like you worked your business all day because you're on your phone, when you literally did zero work.
Nothing.
Doing that. And I think that's a big problem that people have. They feel like they're working, but they're not working. You know, and then you pile on a week or 2 or 3 weeks of that, or a couple months of that, and then they quit and they say, I worked that It Works business every day for 3 hours for 3 months and it didn't work. It's, you know, it's bullcrap. People literally feel like they're working because they're on their phone scrolling, but it's not working. It's not a key performance indicator, a KPI. So you can scroll, that's fine. Make sure that you're doing your work first. Make sure you're doing the things that actually move your business forward first before you do any of that stuff. And then the next thing that I wanted to just say is that, you know, we've been in this business 8 years, and Brittany started to talk about the boom season that comes every year, right after conference, beginning of the year is boom season. The work that you put in this month and next month, the harvest from the work that you put in November and December is tripled January, February, March. You put an hour worth of work in today, that work is literally tripled come January, February, March, when those seeds are harvested, because it is the boom season. If you don't put in the work this month, you take this month and next month off, then you will not be ready for January, February, March. It won't be a boom season. It will just be another, you know, maybe a little bit better season for you. But if you do put the work in, if you stay consistent, November and December, then January, February, March will be huge for you.
Yes.
So good. And I just love so much what you were describing, Josh, about like, you can feel like you did so much. Cause I think it's just that concept of like being busy in our mind. And you really can convince yourself you're so busy because you didn't do, like, you know, when you're glued to your phone and then like all of a sudden you look up 3 hours later and you've got laundry piling up and it's time to cook dinner, and you know, one of your kids needs something, like you really can feel frantic and be like, oh my gosh, I have no time. The day's gone. And so I just love so much that you hit on that. Cause I think that those are one of those things like we have to be honest with ourselves about, because if we're not willing to confront it, we can't conquer it and like make a better habit. So I love so much you guys just being real and raw as always. Thank you guys so much for being on. I know you guys had, you know, so many other Zooms tonight. I know you guys are traveling, and we just appreciate you taking time to get on here, and we love you guys so much and can't wait to see you soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on, and thank you guys for investing the time to be here.
Bye guys.
Okay. Good night.